Hello and welcome to my deck tech to my Horde of Notions EDH deck. Obviously, since it's Horde of Notions, this is a 5-color deck. Now, the reason I built this deck is I did have my Teysa deck, my black and white Teysa deck, and I had a blue-green modern deck and a black-red modern deck. And the group that I play with, we all built our commander decks, our first commander decks. Mine was Teysa, and we kind of stopped playing modern. So over here, I still have my my red-white modern deck to play, but I slapped together my blue-black and my blue-green, my black-red deck, and made this. Horde of Notions wasn't my first commander I tried. I did try a Child of Alara, but she did not work out very well. I do like Horde of Notions better. Keep in mind, her ability, I don't use it at all. I have 0 elementals in this deck. I just needed him for the 5 colors, and he just happens to have Vigilance, Trample, and Haste, which is pretty cool. So, there are a few cards, if you notice, it might be a little blurry. I have 4 cards in this deck currently that are printed that aren't bought yet. They are in my Amazon cart, but they are going in very soon. So first card, Ponder. I mean, I don't need to explain Ponder. The reason I aim a Vigor is whenever a permanent enters the battlefield tapped under my control, I untap it. I choose that because I have absolutely 0 basic lands in this deck. You're going to see that they're all special, so they all enter tapped. Well, pretty much all of them enter tapped. So that's going to make a pretty big difference. Okay. First land, Frontier Bivouac. I don't know what it's called. I just did taps for green, blue, or red, which is nice. Magister Sphinx. I've got quite a bit of flying in this deck. A few Sphinxes and lots of dragons. I kind of made like a pseudo-dragon deck. I love this guy just because, I mean, he comes into play and target player's life total becomes 10. That then becomes very easy with a Vigilance, Trample, Haste commander to take down. Pressure Point. That's just a cheap filler card just so I can kind of draw a card, and it also happens to tap their creature, which can be useful in tight situations. Rugged Highlands, red, green, gain a life. I love this. Render silent, counter target spell. Its controller can't cast spells, so it's kind of like cancel, but they can only cast spells. Sylvan Scrying, just a way to go out and get a land card if I'm short. It's any land card. Scoured Barrens, white, black, gain life. Iroas, I love Iroas. That's great for this kind of deck, especially with Horde of Notions. I prevent all damage to attacking creatures I control, and creatures I control can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. So that makes a pretty big difference. Diabolic Revelation. Just pay X and search for whatever cards you want. Here's another Triland. Opulent Palace. Tap for black, green, blue. Hindering Light. This is a nice one. A 2-cost counter, and I get to draw a card off it. It has to target me, or a creature, or a permanent I control, but that's going to be often. Sorry about that. Okay. Angelic Skirmisher. Gosh, alright. Now it's all gone. Alright, he's just a great, like, fighter. And you get each combat, you can choose First Strike, Vigilance, or Lifelink for all of your creatures. That's just great. This isn't that great. It was just cheap and taps for white and blue. Doesn't actually do anything for me besides that. Esper Charm, white, blue, black, destroy target enchantment, draw 2 cards, or target player discards 2 cards. Brilliant Ultimatum. This card is just nasty. 2 white, 3 blue, 2 black. Remove top 5 cards of your library from the game. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles and may play any number of cards from one of those piles without paying their mana cost. That can be devastating. Here is Swift Water Cliffs, blue-red gain a life. Praetor's Council. I mean, really, you can't have a green deck without Praetor's Council. Return all cards from your graveyard to your hand. Exile Praetor's Council. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. Counter spell. 2 blue. Counter any spell. That's just necessary. Temple of Deceit. Blue-black tap. Or scry. Diluvian Primordial. He has come in handy on several occasions. He has a 5/5 flyer for 7. When it enters the battlefield, for each opponent may cast up to 1 target instant or sorcery card from that player's graveyard without paying their mana cost. Then you exile that card. Dissipate, counter and exile. Command Tower. I mean, it's commander, so you have to have a command tower. You have to. You can't not. Dragonlord Silumgar. He is pretty cool. 6 cost, blue-black, 3/5. Not that great out the deck, or out the start, but Flying Death Touch, that brings him up quite a bit. And then when he enters the battlefield, gaining control of target creature or planeswalker as long as you control Dragonlord Silumgar. That's fantastic. Prophet of Kruphix. Come on, I mean, it's Prophet of Kruphix. Blue-black, 5 cost, 2 for 3. Untap all creatures and lands you control during each other player's untap steps, and you can cast creature cards until they had flash. Bringing out those creatures on their turns and being able to counter. Okay, and the Sandstep Citadel. White, black, green. Mana Leak. This is pretty nice in situations where they tap out. It's just a nice little 2 cost counter. Progenitor Mimic, Progenitor, I don't know how to pronounce that. This is probably one of my favorite cards. So he enters the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, so that includes creatures with Hexproof and Shroud. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if this creature isn't a token, put a token on the battlefield that's a copy of this creature. So as long as this card stays on the battlefield, every turn I'm gaining a copy of that creature that I copied. And that can get outrageous. I copied Sylvan Primordial in my last game, and that was ridiculous. Definitely one of my favorite cards. Golgari Guildgate. It's black-green. Unexpected Results. Another one of my favorite cards. A 4 cost, shuffle your library, and then reveal the top card. If it's a non-land card, you may cast it without casting its mana cost. If it's a land card, you just put it on the battlefield and return unexpected results to your hand. Great. Cruel Ultimatum. I do have 3 Ultimatum cards in this deck. This one, 2 blue, 3 black, 2 red. Target opponent sacrifices a creature, discards 3 cards, and loses 5 life. You return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand, draw 3 cards, and gain 5 life. There's a lot of things happening in this card. It's I don't think I've actually had the chance to play it though. Alright. Sejiri Refuge. Frontier Siege. It's a nifty little enchantment. I always choose cons when it enters the battlefield, just because it adds 2 green at every main phase, which is nice. Return to Dust. Remove target artifact or enchantment from the game. If it's played during my main phase, I can do it again. But it is an instant, so I can do it whenever. That's nice. Jungle Hollow. Rewind. This is fun. If I have multiple counters in my hand, and it's not my turn, I'll usually play this counter first, so that if it resolves, I got the mana back to do another counter. Nubot. This guy's just mean. 6 cost, red, white, blue, flying 6/6, and when he kills combat damage to a player, I may pay red and to anything and destroy 2 target lands. That's nasty. Kasandu Refuge. Counter Flux. 2 blue and a red can't be countered, and I can overload it and counter every spell, which is kind of weird. Like, counter each spell I don't control. So throughout a phase, I can just counter all of the spells they played. Cancel. That's that's pretty self-explanatory. Boros, Guildgate, Staff of Nin. I'm not sure about this card yet. I may take it out. It's kind of expensive to get out. Just a 6 mana. At the beginning of my upkeep, I can draw another card, which is nice. And I can deal 1 damage to target creature or player, and that can be nice. But I think I might take it out and stick something else in. Tempt with Discovery. I like this. So for 4 mana, I search my library for a land card and put it onto the battlefield. Then, for each opponent, they may also search their library for a land card and put it on the battlefield. And for each opponent who searches their library for a land, I search my library for a land and put it on the battlefield. Then each player shuffles their library. So, kind of like a communal land card. But I usually play with 3 people, so I could potentially get in between 1 and 3 mana out of it. Helmar Depths. This is pretty cool. You just kind of scry when it enters the battlefield. You just put him back in any order. Master of Cruelties. He is nasty. Everyone hates it when he comes out. Kind of deters them from attacking me because then they have a blocker. Because First Strike Death Touch, he can only attack alone. And when he attacks a player and isn't blocked, that player's life total becomes 1. Master of Cruelties assigns no combat damage. So they can't even fog it. Or something like that. They can't prevent the combat damage because he's not doing any combat damage. He's just making their health 1. Which is awful. Intet, the Dreamer. Another dragon here. 6/6 for 6. Blue, red, green, and deals combat damage to the player. Pay a blue into anything. Then I remove the top card from my library from the game face down. I may look at that card as long as it remains removed from the game. I might play that card without paying its mana cost as long as I control Intet. Or Intet remains in play, actually, even better. So even they can take them from me, and I can still use those cards. Great Pelt Refuge. Tarka, World Render. 7 cost. Red-green, 6/4, flying, trample, and whenever a dragon I control attacks, it gains double strike until the end of turn. That's just nasty. Mind Swipe. This is just kind of fun. Red-blue X, and counter target spell lets the controller pays X, and it deals X damage to that controller. Isolated Chapel, useless ability, but white-black mana. Sphinx of Uthun. I do like this Sphinx. He's a 7 cost 5/6 flyer. When you use the battlefield, reveal the top 5 cards of my library. An opponent separates those cards in 2 piles. Put 1 pile in your hand and the other in your graveyard. So that can be devastating. Sphinx's Revelation. 2 blue, white, and X. You gain X life and draw X cards. I think any white-blue deck has to have this. Reliquary Tower. You have no maximum hand size. That's necessary. Spectral Ward, 2 white and 3 colorless. Enchantment, chain creature has +2/+2 and protection from all colors and doesn't remove any auras already on it. That's just fun. Niv Mizzet, Draco Genius, 6 cost, 2 red, 2 blue, 2 colorless, flying 5/5. When he deals when he does damage to a player, you may draw a card and may play a red and a blue and deal 1 damage to target creature or a player. More draw cards. Orzhov Guildgate. Gilded Lotus, 5 cost. Add 3 mana of any color to your mana pool. Pretty necessary for a big mana deck like this. Violent Ultimatum. 7 cost, 2 black, 3 red, 2 green. Destroy 3 target permanents. I can be very specific in the things I want to kill. Mystic Monastery. Utter End. White, black, 2 colorless, exile target non-land permanent. Necessary for any white-black deck. Jace Beleren. He's my communal draw carder guy. 3 cost to get him out. +2, each player draws a card. -1, target player draws a card. -10, target player puts top 20 cards from their library into his or her graveyard. That doesn't get used. It's usually, I'll do 2 -1s and a +2, 2 -1s, +2, 2 -1. Yeah, just go back and forth like that if he survives that long. Simic Guildgate. Putrefy. Black-green colorless. Destroy target artifact or creature. It can't be regenerated. Dramoka the Eternal. 5 cost, green, white, 3 colors, 5/5 flying. When dragon control attacks, bolster 2. Which, the amount of dragons in this deck, there's a good chance of that happening. Orzhov Basilica. Soul Ring. You gotta love Soul Ring, especially on like turn 1. Twin Cast. I can copy target instant sorcery and choose new targets for the copy. Tranquil Cove. Rhea Dawnbringer. She's really expensive. I think she's the most expensive single creature in my deck. Yes. 3 white, 6 colorless, 4/6 flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to play. You have yet to play her in this deck yet. Traumatize. I love this card, and I hate myself for loving it. So, 5 cost, 2 blue, 3 colorless. Target player puts the top half of his or her library runner down into his or her graveyard. That's a devastating amount of cards in Commander. That's usually somewhere between 30 and 40 cards, is usually what it is. Azorius Chancery. Inkwell Leviathan. Island Walk, Trample, Shroud. 9 to get out, but 7/11 with Island Walk, Trample, Shroud. And the Island Walk is important because of another card in this deck. I'll pull that in a second. Kruphix, God of Horizons. 5 cost, 4/7 Indestructible God. No max hand size. If any unused mana would empty from your mana pool, the mana becomes colorless instead. And what I've learned about this is, because I didn't know it before, I could say, let's say I had Prophet of Kruphix out. It's usually a combination that I like having. I would, at the end of everybody's turn, I'll tap all of my mana, and then I would have a die to track my mana that's being held over. Because when it goes to the next player's turn, your colorless mana does not empty from your mana pool. So I have built up a lot of mana doing that, which makes casting things a lot cheaper. Silencia Sanctuary. Spelt Wine. Spelt Wine is kind of like Diluvian Primordial, but I get to also do the instant sorcery from my graveyard as well, and each opponent's graveyard. Dragon Lord Ojutai. I bought this guy just on day release, before he got super expensive. White, blue, 3 colorless, flying. He has hexproof as long as he's untapped. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them in your hand, the rest in the bottom of the library in any order. That's just fun. Windscarred Crag. The other Ojutai. 7 cost, white, blue. Flying Vigilance. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, tap target permanent and opponent controls. That permanent doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. Dreadbore. I mean, come on. Dreadbore. Dragon Skull Summit. Dragon Lord Dramoka. 5/7, 6 cost, green, white. He cannot be countered. He has flying and lifelink, and opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Good luck countering my stuff. Supreme Verdict. Just in case things get out of hand. 2 blue, white, and a colorless. Can't be countered. Destroy all creatures. Just in case. Savage Lands, Tooth and Nail. This is another of my favorite cards. Green 5, colorless. You can choose one. Search your library for up to 2 creature cards, reveal them, put in your hand, then shuffle your library. Or put 2 creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield, and you can entwine that for 2. That gets nasty. I always entwine it. I always wait for that 2 extra mana, because that's worth it. Mortify, 3 cost, white, black, colorless, destroy target creature or enchantment. Nomad Outpost. Mana Tithe. Just a 1 cost counter. If they tap out, make them regret it. They'll never see it coming. Sphinx of the Steel Wind. He's an 8 cost white, blue, black artifact. 6/6. Flying, first strike, vigilance, lifelink, protection from red and green. That's just great. Actually, I have a friend who plays a Janara deck. This is my anti-Janara. So, suck it, Janara. Golgari Grot Farm. Negate. Storm-Tide Leviathan. This is the thing I was talking about earlier with Inkwell Leviathan. He's another 8 cost, 3 blue, 8/8 island walk, and all lands are islands in addition to their other types. Creatures without flying or island walk can't attack. So combine that with Inkwell Leviathan, you got yourself quite the little game. Is that Boilerworks? Crackling Doom. Red, white, black. Crackling Doom deals 2 damage to each opponent. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control. Suck it. Obstinate Aid, 5 cost, white, black, 3 colors. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Rakdos Guildgate, Argentum Armor. Just because I'm going to destroy permanents when I attack. Also, +6/+6 doesn't hurt. Prime Speaker Zagana. She's nice if I have no max hand size and have a big creature out. So if I'm if I have a big creature out and I'm tooth and nailing, I will get Prophet and I will get her. Just so I can draw a bunch loads of cards too. And Jwar Isle Refuge. Okay. That is my Horde of Notions EDH deck. There is no overall theme besides countering and just messing with people. So yeah, that's I built this deck completely from scratch. I did not look at any sort of like deck text online or anything like that. Just having fun. Thanks for watching.